Ladies and gentlemen, round 2, episode 2 of the Ron and Randy Audio Hour podcast.
I thought we discussed this. I thought it was going to be Randy and Ron.
The Randy, it has now been changed to the Randy and Ron. I didn't get the notes on this.
It's okay. The memo, the TPS report is on its way to you.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing awesome.
Good to hear it. All right, folks.
And yourself?
I'm doing okay. I'm hanging in there. I'm doing better than I deserve. I'm doing okay. All right. Folks, this episode...
oh my God, I'm getting coffee everywhere.
Randy, do we you know what I wanted to know? I was thinking about this. You know, I mean, it's only episode 2, and there's only so much that we can expect, but...
Is that coming through on your end?
It wouldn't be...
Stop making me laugh. I'm going to spill my coffee.
It wouldn't be an R&R audio hour if we didn't have whatever shenanigans is going on over at Randy's right now. Are you cooking, Randy? Is that...
Yeah, a little mac and cheese over
A little
here.
mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive in. Before we do, I have a serious question.
Sure, shoot.
Do we have a sponsor yet?
You're putting me on the spot.
You better believe it. You better grab something right now and...
Hold on. You got me all flustered now.
I know. While you're looking for something, I'm going to ease your pain here. Folks, today's episode, which is going to be... I guess you could say if there is a main topic, it would be audio basics. And then under the umbrella of audio basics, we're going to be talking about the source or source first, right? We're going to be discussing what is a source and what type of sources are out there. And the plan moving forward is to kind of unravel the mystery of getting into hi-fi and talk about anything and everything that we can to help, I would say, newcomers to hi-fi to kind of jump along, the ride with us and have some fun. So that is today's episode. I do want to mention just some house cleaning topics. We do have an email address, and if you have questions as we are rambling, you can send us those questions, and the plan of attack is we will compile all of these questions, and then when we are done with Audio Basics, we will do an entire episode journey of tackling all of these questions and probably giving you the wrong answers is what we're...
Yeah. So just send your questions in and try to be brief. Just say, bam.
Yeah.
What is Ron's waist size in his pants? And then on the next show, we'll talk about what size pants he wears. If that makes sense.
I love the part on the DMX episode where would you consider taking off your shirt? Long pause. No, I would not consider that.
He was so good.
He was great.
I'm just ridiculous. Like, he slayed me when I'm watching that thing back. The 2 parts is when he said, kids. And, like, you could just see, like, the disgust in his face. And then he said, 12.
It's so good. I loved that one. Where was it?
Do you know that people still think that's real?
Oh, yeah. And we're going to actually have a couple of new segments on the show, and we thought this would be fun. We're going to do what's new in our audio world. This is where we can kind of help you guys get a better idea of, on our YouTube channels, what are we having for review, what are we going to be talking about. And we have another segment where we're going to be discussing mean comments. You guys are so mean. Stop being mean to us. We don't appreciate it. So that will be a lot of fun.
It will be.
What is our email address? Here, send us emails to.
Yeah.
What is it? I can't.
It's Obi Ron Kenobi. 69. Josh Valor is handsome. DMX is awesome. At gmail.com.
That's it. That is the one. If you can remember it.
No, it's R&R. So just think Ron and Randy Audio Hour. R&R Audio Hour at gmail.com.
There it is. All right, and ladies and gentlemen, today's sponsor is...
Gosh, darn it, Ronald.
I gave you like 15 minutes.
I know, but then
prepare.
I got it. Hold on. My camera's got to get in focus. I'm trying to do this regular focusing. It's not working. All right. Johnson's dollar store reading glasses. When the ability to read is worth $1 to you, buy some Johnson's. Available at Dollar Tree and Dollar General.
Oh man, that was great. All right.
That actually, I have dollar store.
Are those your
reading glasses.
readers that you're using when you're doing your show? Is that what the Johnson $1 glasses? Is that what we're looking at?
So I have a pair of dollar store reading glasses.
Oh, that's great.
And yeah, and they're worth about 33 cents.
Awesome. I love it. That is hilarious, man. Well, good job. All right, so this episode has been brought to you by Johnson's $1 glasses. So rush out and get those. And we
get a nickel every time you buy one.
Yes, absolutely. So we are going to get rich from that one. Hey, on a more serious note, this podcast that will be airing Wednesday, if I can get the editing done, is available on all of the major podcast platforms. That includes Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and a whole bunch more. So in the show notes down below, we will have links to all of those different platforms, and watch out.
What about Hank's podcasting barn? The repository of podcasts in rural internet.
The charge was just too high. We couldn't make it happen. So we need to sell some more of those glasses, and then maybe in 13 years we'll be able to make that happen.
Well, Hank curates all those podcasts, so I don't blame him. It's hard to get in there.
All right. Well, folks, so please, if you are driving to work and you want to just listen to the podcast and not view this on YouTube, then you can do that. So links are provided down below, and watch out, Joe Rogan. We're coming for you. We're coming for you, Joe Rogan.
He's really worried down there in Austin.
He certainly is. All right, man. You ready to dive in and tackle the audio basics topic of the source?
Yeah.
All right.
Show.
That's good, because I'm not. So let's make a mess of this. What do you say?
It's going to be all right.
It's going to be all right. All right. So we thought it was a good idea that if we're going to start talking about audio basics, we should start at the front of the chain, which is known in hi-fi or audiophile worlds as the source. So what is a source is probably going to be a good place to start, and there are many different types of sources that we're going to unpack right now. Yeah. But, and I think, Randy, you're going to agree with me, this is not going to be a deep dive of technical jargon and all of the details about these sources. It's essentially going to say, here are your options for getting started, and maybe this has been our experience with these different options, and kind of go from there.
Yeah.
Cool?
Yeah.
Cool.
You want me to, peel that onion back about sources?
Yes,
you have
please.
Cobalt 60.
Yeah.
You have tritium. You have plutonium 238. Those are kept in a safe box, and then you open the box, and that's when you calibrate the radiacs.
So again, if you have any questions, just email us, and we'll...
R&R. Yeah, Cobalt 60. But you got to be careful with it, otherwise you'll get massive radiation poisoning.
Absolutely. I guess...
Are you talking about audio sources or radioactive sources?
Radioactive sources, absolutely.
Perfect. Okay.
Which is the best sounding would be my question.
You can't hear it, and then it destroys your hearing, and you can't hear anything. And then you vomit a lot.
Oh, my goodness sakes. I suppose
Did I get you flummoxed?
you perhaps you did. I suppose that, and look, this is going to get us in the weeds real quick. If we're gonna discuss sources, I think the first obvious question is you have two roads that you may travel when choosing a source, one being analog and the other being digital. Which one's better?
I don't think there is a better, brother.
I totally completely agree with you. There's not. I think it's and this is the thing, is it's more complex than that. You can't say it's just that simple, right?
No, you can't, because there's a ton of different things to take into consideration. I think what you're probably getting at is sound quality, and I think that's a lot of times people ask the question, which is the best? And I think the better question is, which is the best for you? Because I will say personally, when I do my testing, I test with digital music. However, when I'm listening for pleasure, a lot of times I'm listening to, I wouldn't say analog music, but I would say physical media, whether that be a CD or a record.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Over the years, at least early on, I was pretty much exclusively listening to vinyl. That's kind of how my channel started eons ago.
Kind of right. Your channel's called I Got a New Record Today.
I got a new record today. That is it, folks. And early on, here's a dirty little secret that nobody knows, is it didn't take long for me to realize, as soon as the prices of vinyl records started to skyrocket, that I was like, maybe I should get a digital source to look for music that I actually want to buy before I go and drop another $20 or $30 for a record that I'm like, is this gonna be a good one? I have no idea.
That's what I do, man. Yeah. I mean, I listen to digital, and then I'm like, when I find something I love, then that's when I go buy the vinyl.
Absolutely. So, if we are going to be traveling down the road of analog, you do have a couple of options, and one of those obviously is a turntable. Okay, and
I'd say that's about the only option at this point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can get reel-to-reel cassettes, 8-track if you're so inclined.
Have you messed with cassettes recently? Have you gone back to listen to cassettes and go, hey, when I was a teenager and I thought this sounded awesome, did it actually sound awesome? Have you experienced that?
No, I haven't listened to a cassette in decades.
Right. Yeah, I haven't either. And I do know that there are some cassette junkies out there that do like the sound of cassettes. A good friend of mine who is exclusively listening to vinyl recently did what I just mentioned, pulled out his, cassettes and started listening to them, and he's like, this is awful. What was I thinking? This is terrible. So that was kind of interesting. I was like, okay, well, maybe I won't go through the trouble of doing it if that's what you're saying.
Well, the thing about it is there's so many variables with that. I mean, you have
the
head, you have how many times did this thing get eaten by the previous player, and did I have to wind it with the pencil to get it back in? And I mean, there's tons of variables. I actually think there's probably fewer variables with a turntable than there is with, cassette deck.
That is definitely true. Yeah.
Especially, I don't know of anybody making new cassette decks.
You know what? You bring up that is a fantastic point. Maybe we need to get into that market. Maybe we need to.
Well, the funny thing is I went on eBay to look for cassette tapes just out of pure curiosity.
Yeah.
They're pretty expensive. And I think it's because it's like a collector's item at this point, where CDs are plentiful and cheap.
Yes.
And I don't want to let the cat out of the bag for selfish reasons about CDs, because I still want to buy them at $3 a piece.
Stop! Don't.
But I think it's a secret. You should buy a CD player or transport and go buy a bunch of CDs.
You just brought up a good point, and I don't want to shift gears too quickly here, but we've just kind of discussed one option if you're going down the road of analog as a turntable. And keep in mind, as Randy said, and he's spot on, lots of variables if you go down that road, because if you buy a CD player, which we are going to get to, there is no setting up that CD player to get the perfect optimal sound quality out of that CD player. I mean, I guess there might be some little weird things that you could do, maybe filters and things like that, but
put a brick on it.
Put a brick on it, yes.
Yeah. Vibration. Cut it down.
There you go. With a turntable, there are many things that you need to do, meaning owning a turntable comes with the responsibility of understanding that sound quality is directly related to how that turntable has been set up. And so that's a big deal, right? And then also the cartridge.
What if you get peanut butter on the needle?
That works really well. I would say that is, you know, it's actually kind of funny that you mentioned this. Guys, please don't put peanut butter on your turntable cartridge. That's not a good idea. Have you seen
You'll immediately regret it.
You will immediately. Ron lied to me in that podcast. I'm going to send him a mean comment.
Yeah, don't take that literally.
But yeah,
don't put Jif peanut butter on your cartridge.
But what's funny and what that reminded me of, and I don't want to get too off topic here, but dude, when it comes to cleaning records, there are some funky things that have been suggested over the years about cleaning a record.
What about the wood glue?
The wood glue. I tried it. That was the worst. It was the worst idea in the existence of bad ideas. Like it
didn't work at all, huh?
It was such a mess. It ruined the record.
Little Elmer's wood glue all over your $30 record.
In the YouTube video, it looks like he's just peeling it back with one piece and it's all clean. And I'm like, you lied to me. This is not what happened.
Yeah. It's like putting up tile in your bathroom. It looked so easy on YouTube.
Oh,
and now
man.
I've ripped all the walls in my bathroom down.
Dude, terrible. Terrible. So you also briefly mentioned, yes, if you do go down the road of analog, you also have the option of cassettes, and you also have the option of tape, also known as R2R. Wait, no, reel-to-reel. Yeah, reel-to-reel. I've never ventured in that direction. I have heard it, and it sounds freaking amazing, but I haven't gone down that road.
How much meat? So I'm just going to time out here.
Yeah.
How much media is really available on the R2R? There is some. Don't get me wrong. I know it. But it's a complete outlier. I mean, if we're talking about the majority of people, we're talking about vinyl, and we're talking about CDs, and we're talking about digital. Or,
yeah. I
know CDs are digital, but like a streamer or a phone or a computer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. There is some, and you're right. It's, you know, anybody right now that is on my channel, they're probably like screaming like acoustic sounds. There's tapes you can get, you know, and it's like, yeah, yes, but it is select. It is few and far. Make no mistake, you can't pull up Tidal, find a bunch of stuff, and go, I wonder if this is on reel to reel. No, It's not. Yep. It's definitely not. So it would be, you know, the greatest hits of all time might be moving in that direction or resurfacing on tape as a new product. And let me tell you, it's expensive. It's pricey. Yeah. That's a, you are definitely going to be paying money if you want to move in that direction.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
yeah, go ahead, dude.
Vinyl, CD players, and then like streaming digital stuff off the internet.
Yes, right. So if we pivot and we transition, well, what about my digital options? Well, there are many sources to choose from. We do have CD players. We have DACs, and that is we're going to spend some time talking about DACs because DACs can be a lot of different things, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But then we have streamers. We have computers. Is that it? Is that?
Streamers, computers, CD players, Bluetooth. I mean, that's kind of fits into streamers.
Sure.
But yeah.
Sure. Okay. CD players. Let's start there because I think that's kind of the easiest to sort of unpack.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
All right, you're obviously been doing this for a lot longer, and you have more touches with the industry at this point
Sure.
than I do.
Sure.
Are CD players coming back? I mean, I know they've never completely gone away, but is there going to be a CD resurgence?
No. There won't be. There will never be a resurgence that would be worth chatting about, like big picture. I don't think that will ever happen. What I think we can expect is that it won't go away, and we will see some companies hanging on with both hands saying, hey, CDs are still awesome and we should still, it will continue to be a thing, but I don't think we will ever see this big tidal wave, kind of like what we saw with the vinyl resurgence. That I don't think that will happen with CDs.
The only reason I asked that is because there's a very well-respected audio company, direct-to-consumer, that I have heard is working on a CD player or transport or whatever you want to call it.
Ooh, do share. Who is this?
Shit.
Are we going to talk about the shit transport? And you know what? Let's pause. Randy,
I didn't know if that was like not public knowledge. I saw it on the internet.
It is.
Okay.
I actually was just listening to the little live stream they were doing, and they were talking about it, and I'm very interested in it. But again, good talking point. And Randy, what is the difference between a CD player and a transport? What?
Oh, I would get so hot when I would watch the YouTube videos and they would be talking about transport. And I'm like, what the heck are they talking about? CD transport is basically just a CD player that has a digital out.
Yes.
So an optical or coax, whatever it is.
I2S, right, sure, yeah, right.
Most traditional CD players that everybody probably remembers if they're our age or older is you grabbed a CD player, it had two RCAs on the back, and you ran that into your hi-fi.
Yes.
And the DAC was in the CD player.
Right.
Okay? Now, with all these cool external awesome DACs, a CD transport is, and it can be, a CD transport can also be a CD player, but some CD transports only have a digital out. So you have to have an external DAC to use it, if that makes sense.
Yes. You nailed it. That's it.
Nailed it.
Show's over. That's it, guys. Go ahead and email any questions, and we're... No, dude, that's exactly right. So I'm glad you kind of unpacked this, because I think that for somebody that is getting into hi-fi, they might have made the mistake in thinking a transport and a CD player, is that the same thing? Not necessarily, and it does lend itself to the conversation with a CD player. That does have a DAC in it, but that's not to be confused with what is kind of thrown around in audiophile hi-fi jargon as a DAC. It's not quite the same. Yeah.
You could say some CD players can be CD transports.
Yes.
No CD transports can be CD players.
That was so smart. I'm actually trying to work through that sentence.
Because if it's a true CD transport, there's no RCAs.
Right. Perfect. Yes.
And Blu-ray players can be CD transports. Your PlayStation 3 can be a CD transport.
Have you had, I know that you just celebrated your 76th birthday, and I'm curious.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. The whole family came over, and we ate high-fiber foods, no cake.
Has there been any standout CD players over the years that you were like, this one is special for a certain reason? Anything that you can recommend that you're like, there was this one. Has that been an experience for you? Because it has for me, and I'm curious, has that happened with you?
That's a tough question. So the quick answer is yes.
Okay.
But it's a used item and it's no longer available.
Same here, right.
It is the Oppo. I've got it right behind me, and it's a Blu-ray player. BDP 80.
I
Got
remember.
it on.
Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you, buddy. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I got it on Facebook Marketplace for $60, and I don't think that he kind of realized what he had, because Oppo I think is well regarded with their CD players and transports.
They are. Oppo, I think, was kind of a game changer in the audiophile market. I remember the day that I was working at Circuit City. I was a young pup, and this dude came in that ended up being an audiophile friend over the years. Really cool guy that brought in one of the first Oppo DVD players, and it had DVI out, and we were like, what connection is? What wizardry is this? What is going on here? It's like, this is crazy. It was cool. Yeah. Oppo was great. And they actually did quite a few CD players and then DVD players and Blu-ray players. And they were known for like really good sound quality, fantastic sound quality.
Now, was that running through their internal DAC, or was that utilizing an external?
No, I think that in a lot of those situations, it was all in. So whatever, DAC that they were using, and I'm not so well versed on Oppo that I can mention all that, but whatever DAC and topology that they were using, it seemed to me that many audiophiles appreciated the sound of the Oppo players and liked them quite a bit.
You know who knows a lot about Oppo players?
Who?
That guy over at Alcoholics.
Alcoholics? Yeah.
Yeah. No, Audioholics.
Oh.
Gene.
Gene.
So he knows a ton about the Oppo stuff.
So when he's not at the gym, he's talking about Oppo players. I can take a dig at Gene because we're friends. He'll be like, "Oh, Ron, stop it, Ron." Well, that's cool. Yeah. Any others?
What's your advice? See. Ron, your advice. Somebody wants to get into CDs. What do you tell them for something affordable? What do you tell them?
Okay, so unfortunately, these were dirt cheap until they were found out. And then when they were found out, everything is ruined, and now they're a bit expensive. I just looked on eBay before we started the show, and it's going to set you back like $150 or $160. So that kind of gives you...
Which still isn't horrible, but you're also buying a 10-year-old piece of equipment.
Yes, and so before I even mention this, I think it would be wise of me to mention that you are going to be making a risk with this purchase. No question. And that would mean that perhaps and I think most often the actual transport itself or the CD player mechanism, the spinner, it might die, right? At any moment. Like, I'm done.
Yeah, there's moving parts in there.
Yeah, there's moving parts. But to tell a very quick story, while I was on break from New Record Day, I went over to my brother's house, and my friend Mark, who reminds me a lot of you in that he spends time... He knows like every thrift store in the valley, and he goes to all of them like on a weekly basis, and he tries to find all these hidden gems, stuff that are just dirt cheap. And he brought over like 7 or 8 different old school CD players, and we listened to them one by one, all just, making our way through these. And there was one winner, and it was a winner for all of us. We all agreed like, this is really cool, and it is a Denon DCD 1500, and that's an older CD player, and it sounds fantastic.
Was that using the internal DAC or going into an external?
All of them internal DACs. We weren't getting crazy. We weren't using external DACs. We weren't, going nuts. It's just, what can this CD player do on its own? And I got to say that CD player sounded pretty darn good.
Well, Denon and Marantz are still cranking them out.
They are. Yeah.
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 There's another one that one of my viewers, who's actually become a pretty good friend of mine, is a TEAC. TEAC.
Oh, okay.
And it's about $150. It's got a USB recorder, so you can actually rip your CDs straight to a USB device. And I'm probably going to get one and try it out.
Wow. That's awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take a step back. We're going to pause for a minute, and let's go ahead and just talk about what is new in our audio world. Now, if you're listening to this podcast for the very first time and you don't know who we are, I am Ron from New Record Day, and then we have Randy, who is the chief, that's an F.
Randall.
Chief Audio Man. Do I have that right? It's chief.
Nope, you got it. That's completely wrong, Ron. It's cheap, as in P at the end.
I feel like I feel like you're just saying an F.
No, cheap.
Oh, it's a P.
Is it Pan or is it Pam? Pan?
Is it Pan? I think it's Pan.
I think I can help out with this whole Pam dilemma.
This is great. One of the greatest movies of all time. Oh, my goodness. All right, so we have YouTube channels, and we review hi-fi equipment, and we are going to talk about things we have in-house.
We tell some jokes. We have a good time. And then occasionally we knock a speaker over and it damages it.
The day the Polk fell, I was just like, is this real life? Is this real?
I actually knocked the camera, not over, but I knocked the camera and I had to move so I could still stay in frame.
I can only imagine Sound United watching that video going, are you guys, this is our guy? This is the guy, huh? Okay.
No, we have a good time over here.
That's great.
And when I say we, I mean me.
Yeah.
I have a good time over here.
It's awesome, man. Okay, so...
I'm sorry, I got you all off topic.
No, it's totally fine. I am dragging my feet. There's some personal stuff that recently happened that prevented me from finishing the Q Acoustics Concept 500 review, but that is pending, and I'm going to try to get that out this week if I can. Beautiful sounding, and it's $6,000 for towers, and so yeah, it better be good, and
you better paint your house when you bring it in.
It does. Speaking of paint, it is 7 layers of lacquer, and dude, it's one of the prettiest finishes that I've ever seen. I mean, now when my kids get a hold of it, then it's not so pretty anymore, but a little Windex.
Take a whack at it with a frying pan.
Yeah, right, exactly. But that's what I'm working on, and just a little nugget, because I know a lot of people are going to be curious on my channel. I think it might be one of my favorite, if not my favorite, boxed tower speaker that I have ever heard, period. Like, it's that kind of a unicorn. Like, this is... Now, granted, there's some crazy stuff that that we're talking about on at shows that I haven't reviewed, but of the stuff that I've reviewed, I think this might be one of the standout winners, in terms of, you don't want to do open baffle, it's a box speaker, it sounds remarkable.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What about you, man?
Awesome.
Any $6,000 towers you got laying over there?
Negative, shipmate. That is not a true statement at all. I have got a ton of awesome stuff. One of which came from a very good friend of mine. It is the JBL Studio 530 bookshelf speaker.
Oh, man.
And have you ever had have you ever had something come in and you already have a long list of stuff you're going to get to, and you listen to it and you're like, this is going to the top of the heap?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's what happened to me with the JBLs.
Same thing here. We had the same situation. Go ahead.
And it's timely because right now, the great people in hi-fi have really great pricing structures. That's a joke. Anyway, the bottom line is it's on sale for $290 a pair.
$290.
At that, I'm not going to ruin it, but I'm going to ruin it. At that price, this is a speaker that you want to give a hard look at.
Correct. I concur. That is awesome.
Sorry, buddy.
No, go ahead.
On top of that, I've got some SVS Prime bookshelves. I have got, just delivered today, the Wharfdale Diamond 12.2s. A Pyrion, I think it's the Novus Pyrion, and some other stuff in the wings. So I got a SVS subwoofer.
Ooh.
We're going to take a look at.
Ooh.
And see if we can maybe get some pictures off the wall with it. And I got a bunch of stuff. I'm really excited.
I'm excited to do Audio Basic subwoofers because I watched that video you posted of the Emotiva sub, and it seems to me like solid. Yeah, great sub.
So good.
It seems to be, and I gotta say that when a sub has passive radiators in it, there's just something warm and fuzzy that happens to my soul. I'm just like, I like you. There's just something about you that I really like. We're gonna get along just fine, you know?
Yeah, you know what I like about that thing? High pass filter.
Yes.
It integrates bass management into integrated amps that have no bass management. And there's a lot of confusion on that.
There is.
From the comments after that video.
There is.
But,
you know what it is? It's an opportunity for us to talk about it. And so I'm looking forward to an hour of talking about subwoofers, subwoofer placement, different types of subwoofers, and discussing high-level input, high-pass filters. What is Randy rambling about? What is he talking about?
Yeah, I thought I tried to do a pretty decent overview of what all of it is in that video. I tried.
You did a great job. I watched it for at least 2 minutes, and I was like, this is a fantastic breakdown.
Yeah. That's what you need. You need about 124 seconds, and you get all of it. All of it, yeah. Yeah.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
All right, so that is what is new in our audio world, and next week we'll have this segment all over again, and we'll see where we're at. We'll see what kind of new goodies we're playing with and having fun with. I'm not even going to say it. I've got some stuff I'm looking at over in the corner that I'll talk about next week that's pretty exciting, and a lot of you guys have been requesting it, like, Ron, quit talking about stuff that costs more than a house. It's ridiculous. Well, I got some stuff that costs half as much as a house, so...
Well, that's good.
It's going to be okay.
Yeah, that means like 0.8% of the population will be able to afford it instead of 0.3%.
Absolutely.
So, bravo, Ronald.
I'm trying, man. I'm doing the best I can.
No, I'm kidding. You're doing a great job. I am totally kidding. That was a joke.
He's not kidding. He's always hounding me about it. It's constant messages in the middle of the night. It's abuse, folks.
Yeah. Speaking of messages in the middle of the night, I got a text back from another YouTube celebrity about 3 a.m.
Oh, do tell.
I can't tell you. It's going to be a Between Two Speakers segment, but 3 a.m. Yeah.
3 a.m. Who would be messaging you at 3 a.m.?
One of these young kids.
One of these young kids with their Snapchats and their Spacebook.
With their snap face. I say that to my daughter, and it drives her crazy. I'm like, are you snap-facing somebody again?
That's great. Oh, my goodness sakes. All right. Last topic we're going to discuss, and this is a bit more complex because there's a lot of different ways we can talk about DACs, because a DAC it's one of many different things. It is a digital to analog converter, okay? And DACs exist in many different audio devices, but as of late, what we see and what is often referred to as a DAC is also a standalone component that has a DAC inside it, but it's a component that you now are throwing into the rig, and you can do
the rig. I love it when you say that.
It's ridiculous. It's one of those things I wish I would stop saying, because every time I say it, I'm like,
it, man.
I feel like I got the pinky drink thing. I don't have my coffee with me.
No, but rig is more masculine. That's cool.
I got a rig. I got a big, and it's hilarious because it's like
Put a 4-barrel carburetor on my rig.
That's
awesome. Now
that's what makes it ridiculous. Like my dad is a dad. I mean, he's a tough guy, and it's like if he came over and heard me talking about stereo equipment and using the word rig, he'd be like, "Son, what are you rambling about over there?" Like, I'll show you a rig.
He said he'll just look at you and go, "Ron, that's dumb."
That's dumb.
Now go back and start just dig a hole for the next, and I'll come out and tell you when to stop digging.
Get your work clothes on, boy. Yeah, exactly.
No leather gloves for you. You're gonna build some calluses.
Totally.
One thing before we
Yes.
the DAC.
Yes.
A lot of these external DACs, and I don't want to throw any complexity in here.
Oh boy.
A lot of these external DACs are also a preamp.
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up because so DACs will also be talked about audio basics when we start talking about amplifiers and preamplifiers because it's one of the same. It's important to understand that there is a chip or resistor to resistor network inside a DAC that is the DAC, but the DAC is also a component, and with that it has an output stage. And that output stage, as Randy just mentioned, can be sometimes controlled from the front of this DAC component with a dial, and it can become a variable gain stage, meaning it now functions as a preamp. Shillelagh. I'm done.
Nope. I'm just going to say, hey, folks, sometimes when you get a DAC, you can turn the music up and down, the volume.
Yes. Correct. And that's it. And so,
I'm sorry, shillelagh'd you.
No, I'm glad you did. I'm glad because I would have talked for the next 45 minutes about that one thing. And so I'm glad you shillelagh'd me. Now, DACs come in all different flavors and topologies.
I just spit on myself, Ron.
It happens to the best of us, buddy. Oh my goodness, I need coffee. I need round
I got
two.
A whole bucket of it over here.
I need round two. I'm struggling today. I'm so tired. Those kids are crazy, man. They keep me up all night. So different topologies, and one thing that is worth mentioning is that a DAC chip, right? So the chip that is the DAC is universal in that those have been made for years to work in many, many different types of products, including, your cell phone. It has a DAC inside.
Computers, cell phone, TVs.
This Rodecaster Pro thing that I'm using to give you this, golden velvety pipes that are, that you're hearing.
Mm-hmm.
All have DACs inside of them. And so it gets...
They're not all created equal, though.
Exactly. And that is my point. Thank you. They're not all created equally, and it causes confusion in our world of hi-fi of, well, Ron, which one is the best?
Whichever one is not internal to your computer or your cell phone or your television. Yeah. That's which one is the best.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot to navigate, and we are not equipped on this one show to help you navigate that. The important thing to remember is that it's easy to get caught on thinking that chip is the magic that is doing everything, and it has been my experience that is not the case. That you have to kind of take
it's how it's implemented,
Yes, I'm going to back up. Let you speak for a minute.
Sorry.
I'm rambling.
No, it's how it's implemented, right? You can have the same chip, okay? But let's back up, okay? So you got a TV, and let's say you have RCAs out of it. You have your phone. And you can plug in your 3.5 millimeter headphones into it. You have your computer, which has a 3.5 millimeter output. So all these components already have a DAC in them. However, that DAC is not optimized for music. And even if you get a $15 Prozor outboard DAC, you're going to be able to tell a difference. And it's not like, oh, there's a slight difference. No. You're going to get clarity, you're going to get fullness, you're going to get all this stuff because that component, i.e. your cell phone, your computer, your TV, was not optimized for music. That was something that they had to put in there just to make that product work. So at this point, if you're just getting started, just about any external DAC that is sold to hi-fi people is going to improve your experience, and not by an insignificant amount.
I am typically not a fan of blanket statements, but I'm a fan of that one. I do agree with you that getting that standalone dedicated DAC that is designed for delivering the goods will always be an improvement to settling for, like you mentioned, kind of a run-of-the-mill, built into your phone, built into... I think that is fair to say. I agree.
Yeah. Now, when you start to get into comparing external DACs,
Yeah,
that's where the waters get a bit muddy.
they do. Yes. And one thing that, at least in my world of hi-fi, that you are hearing about a little more than in the past is an R2R DAC. Now, that is talking about the specific topology, meaning we're not talking about a chip. We are talking about resistor to resistor technology that is making that DAC. That is the DAC. And so that is a different way to end up with ultimately the same thing, but it absolutely can sound different than its brother, which is the chip-based DAC. I hope I did that right. Yeah.
No.
I think I did it.
I mean, what do I know? But
I mean, I just made it up, so I'm just going to run with it, and we'll see.
No, we're just going to accept that that's the fact. But besides that, it is true. So.
Yes. Another thing that is a bit tricky, and this gets confusing as well, is when we're talking about a standalone DAC, we might see a DAC with tubes in it. And so a tube DAC can then get a little bit more tricky, that someone might not understand or think that, so are the tubes the DAC? No. It's the output stage of the DAC would be, or I guess it could be the preamp of the DAC, depending on how it's configured. But the tubes are not the DAC. It is a part, as you mentioned earlier, of the DAC that's making the music.
Yeah. Yep.
Single-ended and balanced, we're not going to dive too much into that, but it is also important to understand that DACs come in both of those flavors. Single-ended meaning RCA jacks, and balanced meaning XLR jacks. And just when you think it's going to be as simple as that, it's not. You may have a DAC with XLR jacks that is not a balanced DAC.
Ooh.
And that there's some trickiness with that, because a true balanced topology of that jack would have 3 conductors, and one being dedicated to ground or to earth, that is going to allow you to have longer cable runs to wherever you need that to go to. And in the example where it's single-ended, you don't have that luxury, so you can introduce, noise and EMI and RF and EMI problems.
I feel like you're just making up acronyms.
I am. I had to. I am. So,
how much time have we spent talking?
I'm not keeping track of that, my friend. Where are we at? Let me see.
I don't know, brother. I didn't keep track of it either.
Should I have hit the record button? Should I start? Yeah, I got him, guys.
Oh, man, wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah. I think we might. Do you feel like we have done a good job of, let's dip our toes in the water of understanding the source? Do you think, is there anything else that you would expect somebody to go, but you didn't talk about?
Yes.
Go for it.
I think we would be remiss if we didn't talk about Bluetooth. And
yes.
The only reason I say that is because when people are first coming in, that phone of theirs, that probably is going to be their source.
Yes.
On someone just coming in. And it's a great source.
Okay.
Can be an awesome source. Mm-hmm. Do you want me to extrapolate?
I would love to. In an early conversation when I was talking to Randy, I realized this guy knows what he's talking about when it comes to like Bluetooth and codecs and AAC and triple V and what did he? I was like, wow.
DMX.
Yeah. DMX is one of the codecs that people use. It doesn't sound very good, but that is what.
No, it's good looking though.
Good looking.
Yeah.
All right, take it from here, buddy.
Okay, so you have your phone, right? And everybody knows what Bluetooth is, right?
Yes.
You teach something up on your phone, and the magic happens. You go into Bluetooth settings, and then it goes to your headphones or whatever. So what is happening with that is data, which is your music, is being packaged on your phone's end or whatever device you have, and then it is being, through the magic of technology, beamed over to whatever device is receiving it, right? So your phone, computer, whatever, is the transmitter. Your hi-fi, your headphones, whatever it is the receiver, okay? So how that data, and Bluetooth was never designed for music. Bluetooth was simply designed to transmit data.
Yeah.
Okay? So they have gotten, and I say they, I want to talk about mainly Qualcomm and Sony, have gotten much better, and Apple, have gotten much better at how they package that data on your phone's end or whatever device and how they unpack it on the other end.
Sure.
And how they do that is called a codec, Bluetooth codec. The one that is really ubiquitous to every device is called SBC. Okay? And that's fine. Works great. The amount of data that can be packed and unpacked, though, varies dependent on the Bluetooth codec. So some people may have heard of aptX. aptX was probably the first Bluetooth codec that was pretty much designed around music. Then you have aptX HD. And as you move up in the chain, the ability to pack and unpack greater amounts of data comes into play. We're going to throw a wrinkle into that, though, because most people have an Apple device. Now, Apple, right now, on most of their devices, I think some of their newer devices have different codecs, but Apple utilizes a codec called AAC. So, if you're getting a pair of headphones, if you're getting a receiver, whatever it is, and you're looking at Bluetooth, you want to see if it has the AAC codec. Because if it does, it's going to package and unpackage more data, and that usually translates to higher resolution of music. Okay, does that make sense?
It does. So,
with all that said, we, as in consumers, are getting to a point with some codecs like LDAC, which was made by Sony or purchased by Sony, and basically given to like Android devices. We're getting to a point where the ability to Bluetooth CD quality or better is a real reality right now. Okay? Now, I'm not going to get into it, but there's things called throughput. And sometimes it doesn't equal CD quality as far as throughput. I would argue, though, that we're closer than we ever have been to being able to Bluetooth high-res music. And I'm not talking about like CD quality. I'm talking like 24-bit up to 96 kilohertz.
Yeah. Wow.
It's really getting good. It's really, really getting good. And I would also argue that people are going to be hard-pressed to even be able to tell a difference between MP3 or the topology that Apple uses, both of which are about 320 kilobits per second. I would argue that if you have a well-recorded MP3 and you have a well-recorded high-res 24-bit 192, one is going to be hard-pressed to be able to even tell a difference.
Interesting.
So the takeaway on this is that don't feel obligated to get some fancy high-res streamer. If you've got a phone and you've got a decent Bluetooth codec, there's no reason why you cannot enjoy your music to its fullest and not be missing a whole bunch.
Awesome. Very cool.
Yeah, and that's all I got to say about that.
Let's transition to, we're going to do some final thoughts when we're done here, but let's go ahead and transition to what we are calling mean comments. You know, part of the gig here is that every so often we will have somebody show up that they just want to be a meanie pants, and so they say something mean, and, sometimes it might actually ruffle some feathers and get under your skin, but most of the time I think, and you guys might be surprised to hear, we just kind of laugh it off like, okay, All right. And so
Depends on how much sleep and how well rested you are when you read it.
yeah, exactly. So let's jump into mean comments. I have one, and I think you have one as well. Do you want me to go first, or would you like to go first?
Please go first.
All right. So I released a video of it was one of my sound clips with commentary, and what I do in those videos is I try to tackle the topic of sound clips, which is something I have rejected on my channel for many, many years. Like, there's no point in doing a sound clip, to give you an idea of what a speaker sounds like in a room. I still stand by that statement as a whole. Now, sound clips with commentary, I thought early on, is kind of a way to break out of that. That you're in the bus with me, and we're traveling, and as I'm listening to a song, I'm telling you what I'm hearing in the room. And so I'm hoping that it's kind of an experience where, what song I was just listening to, and then I'm pointing to certain things, and I'm mentioning this is what's going on in the room. And that's been fun for me to do. And it's been, I love recording, and I have taken it seriously enough to where I've got nice recording equipment. I can do that. Now, getting the music is a little bit tricky because on YouTube, there's going to be, copyright infringements and things like that you have to take into consideration. And so I subscribe to
I learned that the hard way, Ron.
We all learned it the hard way, my friend. Like, why am I not making why am I not making $3 on this video? It's ridiculous. And so that's a thing. And so to get to the point quickly, I subscribe to Epidemic Sound, which is a platform that I pay to get tracks that are now royalty free, and then I use those tracks in my sound clips and commentary. And as a gesture of kindness, I take those music samples and I package them together. It takes time to do all this, and then I post them on Patreon for my patrons, for people that are willing to, support me.
Yeah, listen to what I listen to on your system.
Yeah, exactly. And I checked with Epidemic Sound, like, hey, can they download these tracks? Is that cool? Am I going to get myself in trouble? And they're like, totally, as long as they don't, go and try to post that on YouTube, because if they do, they're going to get a copyright strike because they're not subscribed. But, yeah, they can listen to them and have fun and do whatever the heck they want with them. So it's kind of a cool way to do this. So I post the video, and there was a kind gentleman that, got on there and left a comment. His name was Ed Verbeek, and he says, wonderful.
Oh, you're nailing it. You're just throwing them out there, aren't you?
Ed. Maybe I shouldn't give names. Ed.
Too late now.
Verboek said, I'm done for. He said, actually, well, this is a nice comment. He said, wonderful music. Can you list the tracks? And I got on there, and I replied, the tracks are available to download for patrons. Thanks for the comment. Okay. I thought,
didn't like that.
Well, what's interesting is Ed did not reply. Now, another person, we're going to call him Davey Smithsonian, came to the rescue here, and he says, I'm going to imagine what this guy sounds like. So, not even telling what the tracks are is kind of a dick move. Bye, yeah. Ron.
Yeah. See you later, Ron.
See you later.
Yeah, because it didn't take you any time to put those together or post it up or check with the company that you got these from to make sure it was okay for them to listen to. Yeah, you're very selfish, Ron, with what you're trying to do for the audience.
Well, in order to get those tracks, to be fair, you do have to pay me $500 a month in order to activate that tier, but I think that's still pretty reasonable. I mean, I don't think I'm asking a whole lot.
Well, you might want to maybe ponder that a bit later on today and see if that maybe is the right move for you, but I don't know.
Oh, my goodness. Anybody that supports New Record Day, even if you do $2 a month, you can download these tracks, just to be clear.
Yeah.
So
I think that's fair, man.
I think it's fair. I would like to think that is fair, and I think that in the event where I tell them what the tracks are, it kind of is sort of a rub against the patrons. Like, well, forget you guys. I'm just going to give the farm away. It's like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough situation, but, I mean... I don't know. I can't speak for where they were at when they said that, but I get it. I mean, everything is instant gratification
Yeah.
right now.
Right.
And
It's true.
but I mean, you can't. I don't think anybody can take a look at one of your videos and look at the production value and say, "Oh, I could do that," because they can't. And what you do and the product that you put out there is really something awesome.
Thank you.
And that does not happen in a vacuum. That takes time and it takes experience, and the amount of pride that you have when you put a video out is no one can argue with that.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a fair statement to think, okay, you made this video, you took the time to do all this, and that you're not being fair.
Yeah.
Just don't. I think that's wrong.
Well, that seems reasonable, and I appreciate that. So, what's your mean comment? Who's being mean to you,
Okay,
Randy?
so a lot of my mean comments have come from a new show on the channel called Between Two Speakers. And some people, I think, don't understand what the intent of that show is for. And the intent of that show is to make people laugh.
Just relax.
Everybody that I've done that interview with, or style, or show, has been in on it. And I got a comment. I'm not reading it. I'm going to just say it from memory. Not, and this is with DMS, with Doug. Not enough audio content. This is dumb. Unsubscribing. Yep. That's what I got. And I got one on the Moon 240i, which is way back when I first started. And this person was trying to like rally other people. And it was like, we should all unsubscribe from this guy. Because I didn't like the Moon 240i. I liked it. I just didn't think it was worth $2,500.
Juice wasn't worth the squeeze. Yeah, right.
And they didn't care for that.
Oh, boy.
But if anybody's listening, Between Two Speakers is a joke. It's a big, long joke.
Well, I'm sorry what I said about the moon thing. I mean, I take it back. Let's get out of here. Leave this guy.
Unsubscribe. And you should, too. Everybody should.
Yeah. Oh, boy. You know, we move on.
Oh, also, when I used to drink coffee in my videos and I didn't know what editing was.
The throat noises.
Yeah. Oh, they got on me. And I don't blame them because it is gross when I would watch it back. Because I'd have the lav mic. And that's, first of all, getting a lav mic was a big step up for me.
Yeah.
In production.
Yeah.
And then I'd put it like right next to my larynx.
Yeah.
And then it would amplify my drinking noises. So I have since learned how to use the Photos app in Microsoft to do a little bit of light editing. And then I take it out now.
I love it. That's great, man. All right. Mean comments for the week. Segment is over. Let's move on to our final thoughts about Audio Basics, the source. You want me to go first?
Of course I do.
All right. My final thoughts are this. I've said this before on my channel, and it's something that I think needs to be repeated for anybody that is getting into hi-fi. Nothing can ever replace your subjective enjoyment of whatever you're listening to. It doesn't matter what Ron has. It doesn't matter what Randy has. It doesn't matter what Paul has or DMX has. It doesn't matter how, if somebody is saying, well, this is the best or that is the best. If you are enjoying whatever you're using, then that's great. And that is the source for you. So that is how I would begin this conversation. Now, with that being said, one of the biggest reasons why I do what I do is I want you to at least consider options and experiment. And if those options fit within your budget, whatever you're able to do, then I would encourage you to give it a shot. But by no means do I think that there is a right or wrong when it comes to getting into hi-fi or audio. There is no such thing. It's just what is connecting you to kicking back, relaxing, setting the phone down for a minute. Stop looking at your phone. Just enjoy the music. That's my final thoughts on sources.
I like it. All right, my final thoughts are the best source for you is the one that you're going to use the most. All right? And that's the best source that you can enjoy the music, kind of, springboarding or off of what Ron said. However, I have a soft spot in my heart for digital streaming services. And the reason why is because I remember the days when I had to go down to the local pharmacy and see what cassettes they had. I remember the days in Walmart flipping through the CDs to see what they had and hoping that the other 10 songs on that CD were going to be as good as the one I heard on the radio. Okay? So we live in a time where if you want to listen to every REM record ever made, you can. And it's not a huge investment. 10, 12, 15 bucks a month, and you get to listen to everything? That's powerful to think about. So, with that said, whatever you're using, whether it be Bluetooth from your phone, whether it be a CD, whether it be your computer, it doesn't matter as long as you're enjoying it. If you're just getting away from like headphones or what have you, then stick with what works. Stick with what you know. I will also say, however, that for me personally, there's nothing that replaces putting physical media into something, whether it be a vinyl record or a CD into the player, and listening to a record or CD from start to finish. I love that. And that's what I do when I want to relax. But I don't think we've ever lived in a better time for music.
Completely agree. Yeah. Awesome, man. Awesome. I love that. And I'm glad that you brought up that last bit about, that physical medium. And, just to mention one last little nugget here as final thoughts, don't get hung up on high resolution to the point where you are looking for music that is only high resolution for the sake of it might potentially be better than what you're going to hear on a CD, because the truth is, and this has been a bit of a revelation for me, is that is not my experience. You play a CD and some magical and amazing things they're waiting to just enjoy. So
yeah, what would be good is if we can put the link to, there's an NPR test where you listen to high res versus low res.
I've done that, yeah.
And just see how many you can actually pick out.
Yeah. And
I think that's a telling statement. And when I was considering going to Amazon HD, I A-B'd Spotify versus Amazon HD. And I was really hard pressed to hear a difference.
Wow.
There was one, and I did hear it.
Yeah.
But it was a very slim margin.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know if that slim margin would translate to musical enjoyment.
Yeah. Randy is ready to eat.
Oh, did you hear that?
Oh, yeah. It shook my table. I think you cracked the foundation of my home with that. That was impressive.
I'm so sorry. Can't control it. It has a mind of its own.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you for supporting this podcast. Again, in the show notes down below, you have lots of different ways that you can listen to this podcast, and we hope that you enjoyed it. If you do have any questions, Randy, what is that email address we got?
It is RandRaudiohour@gmail.com.
For the stuff that we missed, send us your questions. We'll get to them. Promise you that. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah. Hey, thank you, bro. We'll talk to you soon, man.